Taking your seat, getting settled into your chair, feeling as much of a sense of balance in your hips and your sits bones as possible, and sitting up as tall as you can. Let's take some nice, full, complete breaths now. Good. And then when you take your next few breaths on your inhalation, let's shrug shoulders up by your ears. And as you exhale, let those shoulders go. A few more times to whatever degree feels good to you. Some people like to hold their shoulder shrugs a little bit longer. Some like to really let their shoulders drop as they exhale, like they're really letting go of some weight off of those shoulders. And then let your shoulders relax and shake out all the way through your arms down into your hands down here. Good, and then we will focus a little bit more on the hands, taking some fists with those hands right out in front of you, and then stretch all the fingers back out, fists, and stretch out. Once you find a fullish range of motion here that seems to be working for you, let's try to go faster. And you can change the position of your hands too, so maybe sometimes your palms are facing down, sometimes they're facing in, sometimes they're facing up. Good, and then let's go for a full stretch out through those hands. Bring the palms together, line up all of your fingers, and just kind of bring them in front of you there so you can think one hand helps the other one out. And let's go a little bit from side to side, flexion and extension through the wrist, but also the stretch can come through those fingers that are as fully lengthened out as they can be. And then point those fingers straight up towards the ceiling. Take a nice full inhalation. Exhale to let the arms relax and kind of shake out beside you once again. Let's transfer our awareness down into our lower legs, ankles, and feet. Transfer from your heels to your toes, lifting away from the floor, the surface beneath them, getting as much movement through your ankle joints. But then let's also focus on those joints of the balls of the feet. So using maybe one leg at a time, 1 foot at a time, use the floor beneath you to hinge at that ball of the foot to lift your heel as high as you can, but you're still kind of pressing down through the toes of the balls of the feet. Then let's take it to the other side. That mobility through your ankle and your foot is very, very important for functional walking. And I know many of us do really enjoy walking, but not when it becomes a hazard. And one of the things that can become a safety issue is not being able to flex or extend through the joints of the ankles and the feet. So this can really help that. And then let's plant. Plant through the heels, all the way down through the toes. Feel that connection. Come upright again, sitting nice and tall. Let's practice some belly breathing. Deep, full inhalation, expanding. And exhale, deflate, just gently. Getting in touch with your breath, a very important component of any mindful practice. But we're also exercising the diaphragm, a really important muscle and mover of your breath. Brings through a greater breath capacity when the diaphragm muscle is able to mobilize and do what it's meant to do. Also maybe some intercostal muscles and these muscles of the abdominals giving an extension or a stretch out and a subtle deflating, relaxing as you exhale. A couple more times. Good. Now keep your breath going, and it may not be as deep in the belly as it was before because we're actually going to need to tone and engage a bit through the deep core here, which I consider your low abdominals, your pelvic floor, your hip flexors, your psoas muscle, spinal stabilizers. A lot of different muscle groups and connective tissue come together to get this engagement, which I'd like to have in place at least to 50% or so as you do a slow motion rocking forward and up, and any degree of backward lean. But again, it's an engagement here. So we're strengthening, we're toning to find a comfortable range of motion for you that may be very subtle, perfectly fine. Some may enjoy going forward a little bit more or back a little bit more. Your choice, though. Find what works best for you. And we'll start going up through a bit of a progression that does get steadily more complicated or complex and challenging. So the next thing I'd like you to try is extending your arms down as you come forward and curl those arms in as you come up or leaning back. Add in a little more tone and strength for these deep core muscles. Couple more times. And then if you want a little bit more challenge here, you can hold that upward length and lean. Maybe extend your arms out in front to kind of help counterbalance here. Or I like to imagine a friendly person out there kind of holding my hands, helping me be here and breathe for just a little bit longer, feeling strong and toned. And then when you're ready, sit up nice and tall, full complete breaths. Now we're gonna mobilize a little bit more in this region. So pelvic tilts, you might wanna place your hands on your pelvic crest here and feel any degree of posterior tilts. That's tilting the pelvis back. That'll round your lumbar spine, a little bit of a cat pose there. And then when you come forward to an anterior tilt, that's going to expand your front body a little bit more, open up the belly, maybe even up into the chest. And then I'd like you to try to coordinate this movement with your breath. So as you round and tuck back into the cat stretch, there's your exhalation. As you come up or forward, that's your inhalation. And one more thing I'd like to add in is a little bit more upper spine and shoulders. So as you tilt your pelvis back into the cat stretch, reach your hands towards your knees. It's getting a more complete extension through the back of the spine there. And then as you come forward and tilt your pelvis forward, slide your hands up to the tops of your thighs. Draw your shoulders back a bit, maybe even look up slightly. Exhale and inhale, just a few more times. Any degree that is comfortable and doable for you. And then finally, let's come to a neutral pelvis position and really lengthen up through the spine. In fact, getting real length extension to the spine and into what we would kind of consider good posture really needs to come from a neutral pelvis. So neutral pelvis when you're sitting is going to be different than when you're standing. It's going to be different than when you're lying down. So exploring where it might be for you in this particular position, taking a few more full complete breaths. Let's go for a reach and extension. Start with your right arm and move that up through your shoulders, much as is comfortable for you. You can always keep it a shorter lever. You can support that arm to get the mobility that maybe you know you can, but maybe it needs a little bit of support. Another favorite of mine is to actually kind of rest your forearm on the very, very top of your head to give that arm some support, but you're still getting good extension, not only through the shoulder, but also through your spine. Few more breaths here, reaching, extending as much as you can. And then as we lower this arm down, we're going to do a little vocalizing and facial activation too, another very important functional ability. As we lower this arm down on our exhalation, we're going to say A, the A sound. Here we go. A. Hopefully you feel that vibration throughout the vocal cords. It's happening in many more places already though than just this area. We are activating your brain and there's a chemical reaction that takes place that then is spreading throughout your entire nervous system. Really good beneficial things. Also coming back to your face. Let's do lick the lips so that they're not too dry because I want you to open your mouth like you're yawning and then relax. Now go into like fish lips or kissy lips. And then relax. Let's do that one more time. Open wide, yawn. And relax. And fishy lips, kissy lips. Good. All right, well, relax from there and start to explore your left arm extension. Any angle, any degree, your body-mind connection will let you know. If you come across pain, then you're going to start to modify. Maybe you need to give it a shorter lever. Maybe it needs to be at a different angle. Maybe it needs some support, either with the other arm or maybe with the top of your head. Come back to your breath. Enjoy just as much extension as you can find for yourself on this side that is pain-free. And then as we lower this arm down on the long exhalation, we're going to say the E sound. So this one, you want to really kind of pull your lips back away from your teeth, like you're doing kind of a cheesy smile, and project that E sound as long as you can. Here we go. Always draw yours out as long as you can, because yes, we are working breath capacity as well as facial activation and vocal cord activation. So many good and beneficial things there. So coming back to your natural flow of breath, and back down to the lower body in general. So we can do alternate heel lifts like we had done before, or we can start to fire up some more of these deep core muscles and begin to do some subtle marching steps. Starting subtle is always a good idea, because that may be where your body needs to be. But then once you kind of get a rhythm, get a connection with the movement and what is needed of your body to do this movement, maybe you can lift your knees a little bit higher. Or one of my favorites too, especially for people that have issues with neuropathy in the feet, you can start to stomp your feet down a little bit harder. Yes, more strength, a little more impact. That's waking up those nerve endings in the soles of the feet and getting more blood flow into the lower legs and the feet. Again, over time with regular practice doing something like this, many of my clients have found that their neuropathy issues have eased, or certainly not gotten worse. So just a simple thing you can do, but good for many aspects of your body. Let's just go a little bit further or longer here on this round of a marching step, warming up the body. And then let's go ahead and plant. Plant those feet, feel a nice connection down through those feet, and sit up nice and tall. Full, complete breaths right here. Now, a little bit with the neck. Most of my clients have issues with their necks, so we'd like to explore any degree of pain-free mobility that could be accessible to you, starting with just very gentle rotation. Pretty much keeping your chin parallel to the floor. This is also a great time to activate your eye muscles. So as you turn around over to your right, look as far to your right as you can too. And then as you slowly come around through center, you might practice mindful blinking as you turn and look over the other shoulder. And again, take your eye gaze as far that way as you can, and then go back through center. Let's do this a couple more times. Looking over to your right shoulder, turning as far as is comfortable for you, and then again over to your left, looking that way as well. And then as you square off and point your nose straight ahead, let's just do some mindful blinking. Open, close, open, close, open, close. It's very, very important whenever we do eye exercises, which are obviously a very important aspect of functionality in our daily lives. We want to make sure our eyes are comfortably moist. Dry eye syndromes of different sorts can really be detrimental for your eye health. So we work on mindful blinking, because they do believe that one of the reasons why we're seeing so many eye issues these days is because we're not blinking enough. And this even is going for the younger generations. Too much time in front of a screen is probably the culprit. So mindful blinking, very, very important here. Taking a few more complete full breaths deep into the belly. Good. Keep those breaths going, and we're going to add in some more complex movement. We're going to do what I call Robin's breaths. And so we'll start with just the basics, your hands coming together, fingers pointing upward and in close to your heart center. Here, you're going to really lengthen your spine as you take an inhalation, full inhalation. And then when you're ready to exhale, extend your arms out in front of you. Then when you're ready to inhale, open those arms out wide apart, take a nice full inhale out, and then bring the arms as you exhale back in front of you. When you're ready to inhale, bend the elbows and bring your hands into your heart center. Exhale here, and we're going to add in a little bit more on this next round. Starting here with a full inhalation, long spine. As you exhale, reach the arms forward and possibly tuck your chin in as well. Inhale as you open your arms out wide and maybe look up, lift your eyebrows, look up, maybe even smile. And then as you exhale, bring the arms forward, touching together out there, maybe tuck your chin, and then lengthen through your spine as you inhale and bring your hands back into heart center. Exhale here. We can add in a little bit more if you want to. Since we already did do some warming up with the pelvic tilts, we're going to add some of that in as well. So start with your inhalation here, long length of spine. As you exhale, reach forward, tuck your chin, and possibly even tilt your pelvis back, rounding the back body. When you're ready to inhale, open the arms wide, expand, look up, lift your eyebrows, and tilt your pelvis forward to some degree. Exhale, round back into that cat stretch that we already did then. And then inhale to lengthen your spine and bring your hands back into heart center. We've already done some facial activations too in our warm-ups here. So I might suggest that we add in that as well in this next round. So again, make sure your lips are comfortably moist, because one of the facial movements that we're gonna do when we open wide is a wide open mouth and looking up. So I don't want you to crack your lips when you and then when you're reaching forward, you're gonna not only tuck your chin and tilt your pelvis back, but make those kissy lips or fishy lips on your exhalations. Okay, so let's bring that all together here. Hands into the heart center, long length of spine, inhale. When you're ready to exhale, reach forward, tuck the chin, make fishy lips or kissy lips. Inhaling, open wide, look up, open your mouth really wide. Exhale, back to kissy lips, arms reaching forward, tucking the chin. And inhale, coming back into your heart center. Just let the face relax. Keep your spine nice and long. Let's do that one more time. There's a whole bunch of elements that we're adding in here. So starting with the inhalation, long length. Exhale, fishy lips as you reach forward, tuck the chin. Inhale, open wide, open mouth, open eyes, look up. Exhaling, reach forward, kissy lips. Inhale, just a soft Mona Lisa smile as you bring the hands back into the heart center and feel the lovely length of your spine. Well done. Take the arms off to your sides, get a little shake out here. Excellent. So back down to the lower body. Do engage some of your deep core. In fact, you're really going to need to as we get back into some of the marching step variations that we already covered. You could be supporting your legs. You could be keeping it just very, very subtle, or even just alternate heel lifts, or lifting your knees higher and stomping down harder. But we are going to be asking a little bit more of our hips here next. And we're going to try marching steps going out a little bit wider. And then bring those marching steps back to parallel, paralleling the thighs and the rest of the legs too, opening wide. The marching steps there. Maybe you can add in stomps, but it might be a little more difficult to do that here. And coming back to parallel, let's do it one more time. See how wide open you could do these steps. And then finally come back to your paralleling legs, and let's take a rest. Both feet planted, sitting up nice and tall, maybe a few deep, full belly breaths. Mobilizing the diaphragm muscle. Very good. Keep that breath flowing. We might need to tone a little bit more through here so that your breath may be happening a little bit more higher in the torso, which is perfectly fine. So we're going to pick up your right leg and give it some support. We're first just going to extend out from the knee and bend as much as you can, maybe kind of tucking that heel underneath your chair a bit if possible, extending and bending as you find a comfortable range of motion through your knee. Also, we're really definitely activating the quadricep muscle here and then the hamstring as you bend the knee and tuck it in. A few more of those. And then I'd like you to try to hold that extension through the leg as much as you can. You could support the leg. You could lean back in your chair and maybe reach it up a little bit more, or the leg just might get really heavy. And so lowering the heel down to the floor, but keeping as much extension there as we can. Just a few more breaths. You might notice a good flex to my foot there. That helps to bring the stretch from behind the knee down through the lower leg. And then when you're done, bending at the knee and placing that foot on down. Let's switch it right on over to the left leg. Give it some support with your hands and go for extension and flexion. Don't be surprised if things are a little creaky and stiff at first. That's very typical, but we are very mindfully activating the knee joint, getting it lubricated, activating all the connective tissue that stabilizes the knee alignment, but also really getting into these quadriceps and hamstrings. A few more times. Excellent. And then let's try to hold extension with any of the versions that I suggested before, straight out in front of you with a good flex to the foot, leaning back in your chair, maybe lifting it a little bit higher. I definitely do feel a little more stretch here when I do that, but it might be harder to maintain or sustain that position. You'll always have this option as well. A few more full breaths, getting as good of a flex through that foot as you can. Looks great. Excellent. And then when you feel complete on that side, bending at the knee and placing that foot on down. Sitting nice and tall. We're going to go back over to your right side. We're going to open out through the hip. We've done a little bit of this when we were doing those marching steps before. One option is to keep your foot on the floor, keep a flex to the ankle there so you're not torquing at your ankle and guiding the knee out and back to parallel. For a little bit more possible mobility, you can pick up your right leg, give it support with your hand, and guide that knee out and in to any degree that works for you. If this is working so far, you can maybe try zigzagging, maybe stay down low for a few repetitions, and then start to come up a little bit higher for a few. If you get in any pain in this hip joint or a feeling of grinding, pressure, then find a more subtle range of motion. If you're still getting that effect, then you might need to stop sooner. But you can always make things more subtle and maybe find a best way for you. One more time, out and in, and then back to your center or paralleling position with the legs, sitting tall. Take another full breath, maybe tuning into how different you feel between your right and left side at the moment. And then let's start to explore through your left hip. So again, you can keep your legs supported, foot still on the floor, or sometimes I recommend using some yoga props, which you may or may not have, but even just elevating the leg a little bit like this might get a little bit more mobility still with that support. Otherwise, you do have your left arm and hand. That might work quite well to guide the leg out and into whatever degree feels right for you. Maybe try some zigzagging. And of course, you're breathing. Excellent. All right, when you feel complete on that side, bring the leg back in, forward, parallel, and lower all the way down to your feet. Sitting up nice and tall. Okay, so with that, we are going to open the feet out a little bit wider. And you might need to do a little bit of adjusting or a lot to make this work with your particular chair situation, the furniture around you. And we are going for a bit of an inner thigh stretch here, eventually into some more areas. But at first here, it's your hip opening as much as it can. Your legs are symmetrically positioned, so you could be more towards parallel, you could be out wider, and there's no pain in your knee joints, and certainly not in any of the joints, but maybe a stretch up through here. Sitting up as tall as you can, look down at each knee and try to get an assessment that your knee is bending and pointing straight towards how your foot is angled. So knee and toes are pointing in the same direction on each leg, each foot. This is especially important if you're doing any kind of a squatting and you're weight bearing. So more from a standing position, or not with a supportive prop beneath you like the chair, because knee and ankle alignment is so important when we get weight bearing and do some of these strengthening exercises. But right now we are working on mobilizing the hip joints and getting some inner thigh stretch. Then let's add in some stretch through this side body and the waist. Place your right hand either on your right thigh or maybe on the side of your chair, and start to lean over towards the right so you feel safe with whatever support you're choosing. And then let's try extending your left arm to whatever degree feels good. You can keep it a shorter lever or reach up towards the ceiling. For some, if you're breathing, everything is comfortable, maybe you can lengthen overhead just a little bit more, getting a lovely side body stretch as you take your deep, full breaths. And again, keeping that wide stance, maybe you still feel some inner thigh stretch. Take a couple more breaths. Now, if you remember too, we already did a couple important sounds of working vocalization and facial activation. We're going to do another one. We're going to start with just inhaling to reach up, straight up towards the ceiling, lengthen up. And as we exhale, we're going to do the I sound, as long and drawn out as you can as you lower this arm down. Here we go. I feel that vibration. So much good positive things happening throughout your nervous system. brain chemistry lighting up, and the facial activation, which is not as intense as, say, the E sound or some of our next vowel sounds that we'll be doing. But still, when you return to a balanced position, natural flow of breath, and you can also practice intentional swallowing, another very important functional ability we want to maintain throughout our lifetime. So we practice it when we're not ingesting something. It's a fairly complex thing that happens there, and we want to maintain that ability. But let's start to explore the side stretch. Again, now going over to your left. So left hand either on your thigh or on the side of your chair, whatever helps you feel safest as you lengthen or lean a bit more over to your left. Then after you found that stability and safety that feels right for you, right arm can find any degree of extension that feels right. Could be shorter lever, anything that works for you on this side, taking your deep, full breaths. Maybe even reaching overhead just a little more over towards the left. Good, we'll hold it for a few more breaths. We're also preparing to do the O sound, but we won't do it right away here. Let's take another breath here as you reach. And then on your next inhalation, just reach straight on up, lengthen up, and now we'll exhale, O. Keep it drawing yours out as long as you can. Return to your natural flow of breath. Swallow intentionally. Try 2 or 3 times in a row. It may not be actually a complete swallow that you're able to do, but at least attempting it. It's like a little mini workout for those muscles, connective tissue, everything you need to swallow. We're back at center, sitting nice and tall. Let's take those legs back into parallel. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to go for a nice stretch for our backs next. And this will be any degree of a seated forward fold. So for some, you might be staying a little more upright. Maybe your hands are on your thighs, or possibly coming enough forward that you could brace yourself with your forearms on your thighs and just kind of let things relax as you take deep breaths here. For some, going into a deeper forward fold might be a possibility. So you could just drape your upper body a little more over your thighs, let your arms drape down towards the floor. Just make sure that you can take full and complete breaths and that it's comfortable for you. This can be a restorative pose if you're able to hold it for at least a minute or more. As you breathe, if your body feels safe, then we can go into deeper levels and layers of connective tissue, muscle that often do hold chronic tension. And then in a yoga class, or if you happen to have the yoga props like a bolster that many of us use in a yoga class, then this is a small bolster. You can have a bigger one, but a lot of my clients seem to really like being able to drape over something firm like a bolster like this and really let their body relax into that, especially if we're going for that longer period of time to make this a restorative pose. But as always, with everything that we do here, you are listening to and honoring your body, and you are absolutely empowered at all moments to come out sooner of any pose or to hold a pose longer than I might be suggesting. That you might discover that, oh, this is so what you need, and you want to stay there twice as long, and that is awesome. Do that. If that's what feels right for you. And then, of course, you also are empowered to find subtle modifications that you feel might be even more ideal for you. That's another great reason to hold some of these poses for a longer period of time to give you that awareness of really what is best for you. So if it's comfortable, you're in a good place, let's hold for 3 more complete breaths. You might notice as you inhale that you get a little more stretch sensation in your back. Maybe you can release your head a little bit more, letting the neck get a bit of a stretch too. Now, before coming out of your forward folds, I want you to get into the habit of first tuning into your deep core engaging. So in this particular position, you might kind of feel like you are drawing your navel back towards your spine, turning on those strong muscles, and also lift up through your pelvic floor. Feel all those coming together, which might bring on even more deep core stabilizers to help you. So when you're ready, you're going to slowly emerge out of your forward fold with spinal stability and that feeling of strength from within to help you come eventually up to your fully uprighted seated position, taking a few full breaths. If arms and shoulders appreciate, a reach up and out too, that can feel really good after a folded position. And we're going to take advantage of our next exhalation as we lower these arms down to do the U sound. So really get those face muscles ready and draw that breath out as long as you can. Here we go. All the way through. When you need to take your breaths, go into that. And then when you're ready, take an intentional swallow 2 or 3 times in a row. Also, you might settle your shoulders a little more back and down. That's it. Very good. So all of this has been leading up to the possibility of doing some kind of a flow series. And I'm going to introduce several components of a seated Sun Salutation. You choose which ones are best for you, but I think by now you know the different modifications that you could be using. There is one more body position that I want to warm us up, or at least have our awareness ready for as we go through the Sun Salutation series. So we're going to go back to that wide open leg position that we had explored before. And then we're going to keep the right knee bent and that right foot planted, knee ankle alignment right on top of each other there. And then try to extend out through your left leg and find any angle out of your left hip that could work for you. Might be more forward. You might be flexing your foot and being on your heel to keep stability through your knee here or up into your hip. The wider out to the left that you might be able to go, you might choose to internally rotate here at the thigh bone into your hip joint. So you might be on the inner edge of your foot down there on the floor, or even some might be able to kind of press the whole foot into the floor, but explore what's best for you. If you're getting any pain in any joints, modify it until you find something that is not painful for you. And then while we got that position, which by the way, you always have this option, this might be better, more stabilizing for some, we'll reach both arms just straight out to the side, about parallel to the floor. So reach up through the length of your spine, up through the crown of your head, inhale, and then we'll exhale, lower down, bring your left foot back in, bring your right leg back in. Take a few moments to breathe back into your center, balancing things out. And then let's try the other side. So your left knee opening as far out that side as you can. This is your lunging leg. So knee ankle alignment, very important here. Then you can start to explore the extension of your right leg at the knee, but obviously you're really finding the best angle out of your hip joint as well. So again, what works best? Heel pressing down into the floor, inner edge of the foot with an internal rotation here at the hip, not at the knee. Some might even be able to get a full foot placement there. So fiddle around until you feel like you found what's best for you, which by the way, could be here. It's fine and might be best for some. And then when you feel ready with a long length of spine, reach those arms out again. Really stretch through all your fingertips out in these opposite directions here. Take another full breath in. And exhale, lower the arms down and bring those legs back into parallel. Okay, so now we're ready to start this flow. We'll start with the basics, much like the Robin's breath routine that we had done before. But instead of reaching out on your inhalation, we're going to actually, or exhalation there, we're going to actually inhale here and then exhale, try to sweep your arms out and up to whatever degree, could be shoulder lever or up towards the ceiling. And then we'll be lowering those arms on down. So let's just practice that together. So inhale, exhale, sweep out and up. And then inhale, just bend the elbows and bring your hands back into the heart center. Very good. Let's do that one more time. Inhale here. Exhale, sweep or reach up. And inhale, bring your hands back into the heart center. Very good. We're going to add on to that now. So inhale, exhale, reach up or sweep up. And then this time, as you inhale, bring those arms out to that parallel position. Step your right foot out, step your left leg out, finding that open lunge position. Hold here for another breath, long length of spine. And then when you're ready to exhale the next time, you can place your right hand and reach up with your left, maybe even a little bit over. Take another full breath here. Good. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, come down, bring the legs back into parallel. When you can, inhale the hands back at your heart center. Exhale, sweep up. Now this time, as we inhale and come down, either bring your hands to your thighs or reach forward as you extend your body forward some. So either here or there. Good. And then when you're ready to inhale, sit back upright, hands come back into heart center. Exhale, sweeping the arms back out and over. Inhale, bend the elbows, bring your hands back into heart center. And now let's walk the left leg out to be your lunging leg and finding that position that works well for you. You may need to use your arms to help find your best position. And then we'll inhale and really reach through those fingertips in opposite directions. Good. Exhale, planting your left hand somewhere comfortable for some stability and finding any degree of reach through your right arm, shoulder. Take another full breath cycle. Then on your next inhalation, reach up, stay here. As you exhale, reach the arms out in opposite directions once again. And then we'll exhale, help those legs come back to parallel. Sit up nice and tall. Inhale, hands come back to heart center. Exhale, they sweep and reach up. Then inhale into what degree of forward fold works well for you. Reaching forward, hands on the thighs. Some might even be able to really drape down, taking another full breath in whatever folded position you're choosing. And then when you're ready, engage your deep core strongly and inhale your way back up, fully upright seated, hands back to heart center. Very good. Exhale here. Let's do that whole routine one more time. So starting here, inhale, exhale, sweep out and up. Inhale, arms come out or down to help your leg. We're going to go into the right side, open lunge. Get yourself situated there and stretch those arms out in opposite directions. Inhale. Exhale, support yourself with right arm. Reach through the left. Another full breath cycle. Inhale, just to lengthen back on up. And exhale, bring the legs back into parallel. Get yourself situated. When you're ready, inhale, hands come back to heart center. Exhale, sweep out and up. Inhale to find your forward fold. So either reaching, lowering, draping, supporting yourself as needed for another full breath. And then when you're ready, engage that deep core strongly. Inhale, lengthen up, hands come back to heart center. Exhale, sweep the arms down and out or up, straight up is fine too. Exhale, arms come out and either use those arms if you need to find your left side open lunge. Make that comfortable, workable for you. And then again, arms reach out in opposite directions. This is your inhale. And as you exhale, find your side angle stretch. That feels good here. Take another full inhale and exhale. And then when you're ready to inhale, just reach up, lengthen up, arms reach out. Exhale, down to bring your legs in and to parallel. And then one more time with this upper body portion. Inhale, exhale, reach up. Inhale, find your way into your forward fold. And then as you exhale, let's hold this for a few full breath cycles, maybe up to 8 or 9 even, if you can be comfortable in your folded position. Support yourself adequately, breathe, and try to relax as much as you can. Few more breaths, being here, absorbing all the benefits from everything we've done here so far today. Letting your body integrate it. And then when you're feeling ready to come out of your forward folded position, really good deep core engagement first. Feel that engagement, abdominal muscles, pelvic floor into the spinal stabilizers and low back. And then inhaling your way up, sitting tall, maybe doing some shoulder rolls up and back and down a few times here as you establish your fully lengthened spine, upright position. Awesome. Okay, so we are going to go through what I feel is a very, very important series of mindful transitions. The transition from a seated position to a standing position, or maybe just a half standing, like a little bit of a squat, and then also transitioning back into your chair. Really important functional ability that we really want to maintain through our lifetimes. So working through the steps, we've done many of them already so far, but it's kind of bringing them all together and practicing them so that this transition will be there when you need it the most, like when it might be a little bit more of a risky situation, when you first rise up out of bed in the morning. That can be one right there. Trying to get yourself out of a deep lazy boy chair or couch or something. That's where you're really glad that you've practiced these steps, and then also being able to safely lower yourself back down into the seat, into the chair. That is also very important. So we want to look down at our feet and see that they are symmetrically placed and a little bit wider than narrow. So I would suggest at least hips width apart for you, maybe even a little bit wider. We know that a wider base is a more stable foundation. So feet that are kind of cockeyed, asymmetrical, or too narrowly placed will immediately set you up for a less stable foundation. So we get that going, and we sit up nice and tall, engage throughout the deep core, and go back to those rocking motions. Rocking not only to ensure that you are indeed coming on through these deep core muscles, but you also are getting some degree of momentum that can be really helpful to then at least kind of boost you so that your hips are further forward on the seat of your chair. In any chair situation, if you are seated really far back in it, it's always going to be more of a struggle for you to come out of that seat. So either with chair dips, with your hands on the sides and using some arm strength to help you dip forward a little bit more, or also those rocking motions that can help you to position yourself further forward on the seat of the chair. Then sitting up nice and tall, notice where your feet are, and now you might be ready to either hold a bit of a chair dip using your strong muscles of your deep core and your arms, and then slow and controlled lowering yourself back down to your seat. So we're strengthening here. And also you could turn this into coming into what I call a chair pose squat, where you boost yourself out, you still are in a squat, you are really strong and engaged throughout your deep core. Obviously now your leg muscles really coming on. You can have your hands on your thighs to help you be in this squat. Notice the side view here. I'm very much kind of in a zigzag or a lightning bolt shape. We want to be as strong and stable as we can there, and then slow and controlled returning back down to your chair. So just what we've done right there is so worthy of practicing and helping you maintain the strength and the ability, the coordination to get yourself safely to that transition. Then of course you have the option to take it to either holding your chair pose squat longer and returning back down to your chair, or taking it from the squat to your full standing position with everything on still, working together to lower yourself back down to the chair. So stand up, sit downs. If it is pain-free and it is safe for you, I would suggest practicing this every day, at least 10 times in an environment that you are very aware and alert. It's relatively safe. You are not multitasking. You are really focusing on this complete range of motion, strength and stability, bodily coordination, so many things here coming together. And then eventually either coming back down to your chair and kind of finding out what your body needs to do next, or we have the option here next to transition to the floor if that is appropriate for you today. If not, just come right back down to your chair. But if transition to the floor is something you want to do, if you know it's beneficial, then we're going to take that mindful awareness as we transition down to the floor. And I'll show you an example here. So mindful rocking, good feet placement, strong deep core engagement, holding my squat, making sure I feel like, okay, I'm good, I'm steady, I'm strong, I can come to full standing. But then I like to use a sturdy support prop like the chair I just came out of to help this transition down to the floor. Also, you may want to grab some extra props that would help you be more comfortable. So say like knee pain or discomfort, especially if you have a hard floor, you might want to get a cushion of some sort. Also, knowing that we'll be laying on our backs here fairly soon, you may want to have a pillow for your head. So just kind of putting these props out there so they'll be there for you and you don't have to struggle to get them when you get to the floor. And then I like to use a sturdy support prop like the chair, the seat of the chair, hands on that, and then slowly lower down, one knee at a time. Some people really like hands and knees pose. There's some many great exercises here, such as the cat-cow that we did in the chair. That's one thing that's great to do on hands and knees if that works for you. Otherwise, it's just an interim position while you get yourself situated to sit and then lower down onto your back. If you have a lot of back pain issues, I'd say lower down onto your side first, and then from your side, roll onto your back and get yourself situated. So take your time, that's looking good. And I'm gonna actually come back up into the chair since I know some of you need to stay in the chair for your safety, and then we can modify whether you're on the floor or in the chair. In the chair, you're gonna lean back into that chair as much as you comfortably can, and then we're gonna go for as much extension through one side of your body as possible. So whatever side you wanna start with, reach that arm up and overhead. Yeah, those of you on the floor, you can stretch out through that one side, or you can even stretch through both sides at the same time if that is comfortable for you. For those of us in the chair, usually it's one side at a time. Then after at least 3 full complete breaths, we'll lower that arm down and then switch over to the other side if you haven't done that already. Full complete breaths. Full body extension, at least on one side. That's great. Full complete breaths. Lowering your arm on down and finding comfort for your upper body as you bend both knees and plant your feet to the floor. Taking some nice full breaths here. So pick up your right leg and hug your knee in towards your chest. Use your hands to hug your right knee in. And if it's possible to really extend fully out through your left leg, do so. Good. This is also a great time to move through your right foot and ankle. So circling the foot around, pointing and flexing, maybe getting a little bit more movement through your toes. That's it. Good. Okay, so for those of you on the floor, you're just going to keep that right knee bent and put your foot down onto the floor, right next to your left knee, and then open your right knee out to the side, hip opening or half butterfly pose. Those of you sitting in the chair, you can either just keep supporting your right leg with your hands and just trying to open it out to the side until you do feel a good stretch or a hip opening. The other option is to bend your left knee, plant the foot, and go into a figure 4 pose. Slightly different pose, but find out what works for you. If you do like the figure 4 pose, maybe you in the chair, you might sit upright and maybe even do a little bit of a forward fold, getting more of that stretch where it feels right. And just about a couple, 2 or 3 more breaths. Excellent. When you're ready, you're going to come on out of that and we're going to switch sides. First, just hugging your left knee in towards your chest. Support it with your hands. Take some nice full breaths and possibly extend your right leg out as much as it can across the floor or out there in front of you, heel resting on the floor, and moving through your left foot or ankle or all of those, even your toes a few times here. Nice full breaths. Good. All right, you can relax your foot, and those of you on the floor, place your left foot down on the floor right by your right knee and open that knee out to the side, out to the left. Those of you in the chair, again, you can be supporting that leg, finding an opening here that feels good, or choose figure 4 pose position. And we'll be here again for about 3 full breaths, or at least as long as it takes for you to feel complete. So for some of us, many of us actually, most people are tighter on one hip than the other. When you discover which is your tighter hip, as long as it's not painful, you will want to stay in this type of stretch longer on that side and give a little bit more opportunity for your body to receive the stretch that it's capable of and start to work towards more symmetry from your one hip to the other. And that may take years, but it all starts with mindful awareness and then working gently into slightly greater mobility on the side that you've discovered is tighter. Always working within your pain-free range of motion. When you're ready, you can come on out of that position. And again, just bend both knees, plant both feet onto the floor. Now, arms, stretch your arms either straight out in front of you or up towards the ceiling. Yeah, so straight up there, yeah. Good. And then start to open your arms out wide apart, as wide open as they can go. If you're lying on the floor, let them come all the way down there on the floor. If you're in the chair, lean back as much as you can into the chair and just really get that opening through your heart center, your chest, your shoulders, even maybe your biceps, the upper arms, really stretching out and down. Now, if this is comfortable for you, stay here with it. But if the arms get uncomfortable or heavy, you can lower them down, but try to maintain that open heart center, chest and shoulders as you established here. Now, would it be comfortable to extend your legs out long on the floor? Or is it better for you to keep the knees bent, feet planted? Maybe there's another position that your legs could be comfortable, especially for your low back area. Find what's most comfortable for you. And then we're going to just focus on our breaths here for the next minute or so, and also facial relaxation. So allow your eyes to close and allow your eyebrows to smooth out from the inner ends of the eyebrows, even that point between your eyebrows. Let that soften and smooth out all the way across the eyebrows to your temples. Really feel an extra soothing relaxation. And as you take your next several breaths, I want you to silently say to yourself on your inhale, opening up, and as you exhale, letting go. Practice of mantra, or in modern psychology, affirmation. Matching your affirmation statement or your mantra to your breath makes it extra powerful and beneficial. Now bring your awareness to your jaw and soften throughout the hinge of the jaw, all around your ears, the cheeks, throat. So even as you relax your throat, you might allow your tongue to really relax inside the mouth. All these muscles, connective tissue, soften and relax. And again, return to the flow of your breath and your mantra, your affirmation. I always encourage my students to stay in their practice of conscious relaxation for as long as they can, or as long as they feel. It is a highly beneficial practice in itself. And yet, if those that have things they need to do and keeping on their schedule need to start to emerge out of your relaxation position, then do so slowly and mindfully. Maybe just moving through your fingers, intentional movements through the joints, the fingers and your hands. Also through your feet, your ankles, all the way through your toes. Feel those movements that energetic awareness that you've made into these extremities through your body. And then also really intentionally reactivating some of your facial muscles. And I like to suggest a smile. So coming from that very relaxed place throughout your face, try the Mona Lisa smile. Just feel those subtle activations and also feel the effect, especially if you merge your mantra, your affirmation, along with this bodily awareness, hands, the feet, your face, and this subtle smile. And also when you're ready, let's practice mindful blinking. When you're ready to open the eyes and take in the visual field around you, blinking mindfully, looking right, looking left, looking up, looking down, taking in the visual field around you and activating those eye muscles intentionally. Taking some deep, full breaths. Maybe a stretch might really like to come through your body, the arms, the legs. Maybe it's a real expansive stretch moving out from the midline of the body, or maybe you want to hug in one knee at a time, both knees at the same time, or just bend your knees and plant your feet to the floor. Get stable and begin to also engage throughout your deep core, which will be necessary for your safe transition when you are ready to come up to an upright seated position, whether in your chair or on the floor. If you've been reclined on the floor, I suggest that you stay close to the floor for at least 3 full breaths as you let your body assimilate and adjust until it is really fully capable of doing something more complex. So just coming to an upright seated position if you are ready. And in this place of your comfort and a sense of balance, if your arms are available, your hands can come together right in front of you into your heart center, taking a few mindful breaths with your smile, your Mona Lisa smile, maybe even a bigger smile that's growing here. And you're acknowledging the gratitude that resides within you, received and given. I thank each and every one of you so much for being here today, and namaste.